Good afternoon, everybody, and welcome to Wall Street Reporter's next Superstock live stream. Today is October 22, 2020. We have with us returning presenter is FansUnite. We have Scott Burton, the CEO. The stock symbol is FUNFF, over the counter, fans on the CSE. And actually, we're going to do something a little bit different. We're going to actually start off with Scott is going to provide some color on today's news release, which is, I believe a real game changer for the company. And you really need to understand exactly what this means for the stock. Again, anybody that's new to our program, our goal is to bring you stocks which have that 10x to 100x upside potential. So these are companies which are going after multi-billion-dollar market opportunities. They have multiple catalysts in place for upside, and they are at the threshold of explosive growth. Fans actually touches all three of those. So we're very excited to see what Scott is going to share with us. And with that said, since we're running a little bit late, I'll just let Scott take it away. Scott?
All right, thanks, Jack. Yeah, we put out a good piece of news today, but we've had quite a few things happen since I was last here. So quickly today, I'll update on we've had some more McBookie news. So that's our UK-facing sportsbook that we talked about a few weeks back. We got our first institutional coverage this week, and then as you mentioned, we announced ask.games, which is probably our biggest announcement to date. So I know we've got a lot to cover, so I'll try and go through quick, but just starting on the McBookie, we mentioned McBookie a few weeks back just had some explosive growth over the quarter, the last quarter, and last week was actually the biggest week of the year for that site. So last week alone, the McBookie site made over $250,000 in gross profit. Biggest week by far this year. It's actually the biggest sports betting week the site has ever had in their 10-year history, and one of the biggest weeks for a casino. So we mentioned in the last one how we're expecting double, triple that revenue, and we're seeing that now. So I just want to give an update on that because it's a continuation of what we talked about before. The coverage was great, so we got picked up by our first institutional coverage by Mackie. Puts us in a good spot. It's got a price target of more than double where we're at today. Puts us quite a low multiple in terms of valuation compared to the peer group. So good news for the people watching, and a good time, I guess, to get in and follow the story. And then the big piece of news today was what we announced out of ask.games. So for anyone who doesn't know, I'll walk through the presentation in a bit about all the different parts of the company. But ask.games is the side of our business that's building esports and video game themed casino style games for the online market. So these are going into online casinos, online sports books, and they're really targeted for the next generation of gambler. So what we're seeing now is an aging out of the current casino demographic. And people like DraftKings and major sports books are looking for content that appeals to the 18 to 30-year-olds. And that's what we're really producing out of ask.games. There's different game mechanics than typical games, as well as different look and feels that appeal to people from the video game era. So just to explain the announcement today, we launched our new website, which I'll show. So there's ask.games.com. You can also go to ask.games and see the new site. I'll show you that shortly. But we've also announced our first deal. So this is our first commercial deal to get our games out into the market. And it's significant because it's with a game aggregator. So I'll just sort of explain that. So right now there's a slide up that is showing ask.games. So this deal we announced is with the first game aggregator called the EAR platform. And game aggregators provide online sports books and casinos a single integration that allows them to a menu of games to choose from. So they'll take games from top providers, offer it up through one integration to hundreds of sports books. So the first deal we did with the EAR, that gives our games access to over 120 casinos and sports books around the world. So I've only shown 3 arrows there because I couldn't fit 120 plus, but that's the significance of one aggregator deal. So the first one we do, we've got 3 games complete. We're on our way to having 10 to 12 within the next 12 months. Just to give you an understanding of the potential scope of that, the games alone has the chance to do the 10x of our revenue quite quickly. Even more than that, because a single good game, so one of our games going into a number of these casinos and sports books, if it's a good game, it could bring back, you know, $500,000 to $1 million a month back to Ask God. And that's one game through one aggregator. So if you multiply that out by 10 to 12 games we expect to have out this year, and then another 5 to 10 aggregators, we're in the hands of hundreds of millions of potential users. So it's a massive revenue ramp up for us. So that's the real significance of today. So as I said, I think it's probably the biggest piece of news we've put out since the FansUnite merge in August. It's not going to be the biggest one we have coming, but to date, this is the most significant piece of news I think we've put out. So I really wanted people to get understanding of the potential scale of this. And we are working with additional aggregators now. So I'll show you now the new site that we just launched. So anybody can go to the new site, which is ask.games.com. And you'll see here, we're showing the first few games that we have. So Crash Heist, Loot Hunter, and then 2 coming soon, which is Team Vortex and Titan Gems. And then the other ones we're not showing just yet. So I'll give you a sense of kind of how our games look and feel versus a traditional slot. So starting with Loot Hunter. Loot Hunter is built on a loot case concept that's very popular in the video game world. So gamers will buy keys to open cases, like you can see here. And on the left-hand side of our screen, you'll see a number of keys coming up tiers. So here you buy your key to open these crates. So again, it's like paying to get into a slot machine, but it's got the different game mechanics of a video game concept. As you spin, you open up different levels. So each different tier you're getting equates to a different prize level. So really, the more money you're willing to spend, the better prizes you're going to win. It is a jackpot style, so the jackpot grows the more people are playing. But really, one of the differences too is you win every time. So even if you don't win 50 euros, as someone just did, you win key fragments. So you're building keys, and we can gamify sites so you can acquire these keys by doing activities we want you to do on the site. So by placing bets or different things. So that's the first game that we put out called Loot Hunter. It's live now. The next game is a Crash style game. So you'll see the look and feel again is very much like a video game. Our site gives you information on the return to players. So this is casino operators who take our games. We can change this return to player. So that dictates how much money the sites are going to make. So a quick look at Crash Heist. You are a group of bank robbers breaking into a vault. So you pull up in your car, you get into the bank vault, and then you place your bets. So your bet is being multiplied as this timer goes off. So really, we're giving the users a sense that they have some control. They need to get out of the bank vault prior to the police showing up. And they'll show you, I'll show you what that looks like here. So the first one, if you don't cash out in time, you will get caught by the SWAT team, so you just lost all of your funds. The second time, I'll just show you what it looks like if you do actually win. So you place your bet, the multiplier starts going. Once the timer countdown goes, your money is rising as this goes. So you can see your cash out at any time you can cash out. This person cashed out at 90 euros. If they were to hold on, you can see they're up to 350 if they're holding on. So the longer they stay, the more they're getting. And then once the bank closes, they take off in their car and get away with all their cash. So those are the first 2 games. I will do a quick preview of the next game coming. So this nobody has seen yet. So this is Team Vortex, and this is, I guess, closer to what some people would expect from a game. Again, we have some very different game mechanics in Team Vortex, but it's similar to a slot style. We're kind of keeping all of the game mechanics under wraps at the moment, but you'll just get a sense, again, the look and feel. This is a cyberpunk game, but it's part of a series of games that we're putting out. So there's kind of a continuation of this game and a story and a lot of gamification. So it keeps people coming back to earn things to play other games. So just get a sense of the video game look and feel that we're after. And that's where we're at with ask.games. So that was the importance of the announcement today. And Jack, if you're okay, I'll go through our presentation that we've done for anybody new. Give a sense.
Yep. Let's do that. We've got a lot of new people in the audience, so definitely we want to show that. And by the way, I'm glad you showed that. You know, that the winning of the crash heist. We haven't seen that yet. I always saw the cops showing up. I never saw them getting away. That was a good one.
Yeah, that's what you want to see when you play the game. So, yeah, I think we just want people to get a sense that very different style of game, focused on a younger demographic, and the feedback and the response we've been getting is great. So, you know, the ear is the first integration we're doing with a game aggregator. I can honestly say every operator and every aggregator we've shown it to has said they want the game. So you should be seeing a number more of those announcements soon. And really, it's just how that scales. So again, one of the aggregators we're in has access to 120. The next one will have more than that probably. So immediately we double, triple, quadruple the amount of users who can get our games very quickly. And as I said, a good game for us through one aggregator could be bringing back 500,000 to $1 million a month per game. So as this slide says, and we've talked about before, the online gaming space, online gambling is a massive market. It should be almost doubling probably in the next 5 years. We're at the verge of some massive growth, as we said, just getting these deals announced. The McBookie growth since we've merged with FansUnite has been exceptional, and many more catalysts to come. So we have a lot of announcements coming. Talking about the space, again, I'll go through quick because I know we're going to be short on time, but just massive valuations right now. And as I mentioned in our coverage, we're at a pretty low multiple. Someone like a DraftKings is probably trading at 30x revenue. We're more like a 2 at the moment in terms of our multiples. Here's a look at what the company looks like post-merge. So for anybody new, FansUnite and Ascot Entertainment merged back in August. So August 11th was the major announcement. So the new entity looks like this. So there's the FansUnite side, which was on the more traditional sports betting space. Ascot Entertainment was really on the esports side. So this is professional video games, which is a huge market, growing fast, and every gambling operator is looking to get into esports. And then McBookie.com is a consumer-facing site in the UK, really focused on the Scottish market. And then underneath that is the Chameleon gaming platform, ask.games, Vamos. So we'll go into detail on those in slides coming up. So really we have 4 B2C platforms live. So this means direct to consumer. So these are sites that are taking consumers. Some are free to play and some are real money. So McBookie is the real money sportsbook in the UK. Vamos GG recently launched as an esports betting product into Latin America. There's FansUnite has a social sportsbook, and there's Esports Bets, which is the esports side. Over 350 million in revenue to date and 300,000 users. So we'll start with the B2B side of our business. So we have our B2B and B2C. B2B really helps power our consumer offerings, so we leverage that. We have the Chameleon gaming platform, and then we have ask.games. So the Chameleon platform is our white label technology. So this is a full iGaming solution that allows our partners to run their own online gambling sites. Chameleon started out focused on the esports space, and we're now moving into we've already added casino products, so not just our own So we have the games we showed you, but we are also integrated with the EAR platform and other aggregators. So any partner of Chameleon can turn on over 6,000 different casino games. So we've added that, and then we're now adding traditional sports. So really what we don't want is any exit points for anybody on the Chameleon platform. So if your brand's up there, you can offer traditional sports betting, you can offer esports betting, you can offer casino games, and we also can provide gaming sub-licenses, so you don't need to go get your own online gambling license. We can handle payment processing, we can handle age, identity, location verification. So from top to bottom, we do it all, and our partners just focus on being the brands and bringing traffic to us. So again, this is how we can scale and leverage. So I mean, we have the infrastructure, architecture, platform now to host hundreds of sites around the world, gaming licenses included. Ask.games is what we just announced today with the new site, the next game coming out, and our first aggregator. So as we add aggregators and we get revenue numbers from these games, we'll be following up with announcements for Ask.games. So going on to the consumer offerings, so these are the B2C. So these are the sites that are dealing directly with the consumers. So McBookie.com, the FansUnite, and then the esports bets and Vamos. So McBookie.com, as we mentioned, is seeing some excellent growth, and this is despite the pandemic and having no sports for a number of months. So even with that, they're seeing triple-digit growth year over year. As I mentioned, we just had our biggest week of the year last week, and now sports have been coming back. But also, what I guess the pandemic allowed us to do is put a little focus into the non-sports products. So casino, we've added live dealer casino and virtual sports in that time. So we're predicting at least a double of revenue for McBookie next year, but I think in reality we'll expect more than that with the addition of the casino products, the virtual sports, and look to actually change the technology that's powering to McBookie to our own. FansUnite has been running a social sports book. So this is free to play. Users can come on, they can follow other bettors, they can place virtual bets. And this has been really for a customer acquisition tool in North America. So we don't take any real money bets in North America, but with the recent changes in the US, we've now built out a pretty significant user base on our free-to-play sites that we can look to monetize primarily through affiliates. So we'll drive traffic to other gaming sites and take a revenue share off of sports books that are in North America. The esports side is where the Ask.games business really started out back in 2014. So really one of the first groups ever to put esports and gambling together. It started with a site called esportspools.com in 2014. Free-to-play site, but it registered over 200,000 users in 160 different countries. It was the first ever daily fantasy site just for esports. And then we moved towards real money as we built out the Chameleon platform. So our products sit on top of that Chameleon platform. The esports bet site, esp.bet, was the first ever esports betting site licensed in the Isle of Man back in 2017. So we've been generating money from esports betting going back to 2017, which has kind of made us, I think, an expert in the space of esports betting, and is really what allowed us to build out a platform like Chameleon that people want to use for esports. So on the esports B2C, we've also added a site recently that's called vamosgg.com. This is a site that's localized for primarily Brazil. So with, again, the Chameleon platform, it's very quick, very flexible, the ability to launch sites in a matter of weeks. So we were showing with a partner what we can do in a region like Brazil, where most people, if they have to go get a gaming license, get the servers, get the infrastructure, might not make sense. But with our platform, we can really focus on markets like that. We can localize language very quickly. So we've got the site in over 10 languages already. We can localize in a day. In terms of language, and then being focused on one market like Brazil, which is a very good esports market, and Vamos is an esports betting site, it allows us to really key in on influencers in the space, so focus on marketing efforts and also focus payment efforts. So anybody who understands the online gambling world recognizes the challenge of payments all the time. So if you can really focus on payments that work in that specific region, your conversion rates go up significantly, your customer acquisition costs go down, and you just make more money. So that's what we really want to show with partnering with Vamos and using our Chameleon platform. So licensing is a very important part of the space as well in online gambling, and we've been through it many times. So we've done it in multiple jurisdictions. So the Isle of Man was the first place we licensed, going back to 2013 was the first time we licensed. Specifically, we did the esports betting site in 2017. Shortly after, in 2018, we decided to move out of the Isle of Man for a number of reasons. Really, our focus was getting a license in the EU. So we started the process of Malta. So we're about to receive 2 licenses in Malta from the Malta Gaming Authority. We're going to have a direct-to-consumer license, so that allows us to launch our own brands, but also allows us to do white labels again for partners who want a full suite solution, turnkey. And then we'll get a B2B, so a critical software supplier license. So this allows us to sell the Chameleon platform to other licensed operators throughout the EU. It's a requirement for many jurisdictions. So the benefit of Malta is it's part of the EU. The Isle of Man wasn't. Better access to some banking and payments. It's a top-tier jurisdiction. It was one of the first in the EU to ever license or give out licenses, and allows you to access over 150 markets from there. In addition, we have a partner in Curacao that lets us use a Curacao license if any of our partners want. Curacao can be a bit quicker sometimes and a bit more flexible, so we can offer that. UK is considered the gold standards of gaming licenses. So the UK GC license is one of the tougher ones to get. We have started the process of getting our UK license now. That was specifically to service McBookie. So McBookie is currently using a sub-license of someone else. So when we can switch them to their own license, it'll give us quite a cost savings next year. So our aim is to be done the UK licensing process by the end of Q1 next year. Very confident in that because we've been through technical audits already through Isle of Man, through Malta, very similar process in the UK. And then the US is a market we get asked about a lot because of the repeal of PASPA, which was what didn't allow sports betting. So the US has opened up. I think we've seen about 23 states now go for their licensing. So we announced a deal recently with a group called Gameco. So I've got a slide that talks about that. So I'll touch on Gameco and our US plans around licensing. I think a big important part of the company and the merged company is the teams that we had and we've now brought together. So internally, we've got over 25 people now split in a number of different regions, so throughout Europe and North America. Some great investors, but then also an exceptional board of directors has joined since we announced the merge. So Harish was former president of Paddy Power Betfair. That's now known as the Flutter Group, so the biggest online gaming group in the world. Harish has been around all the jurisdictions, focuses on M&A a lot. So with M&A being part of our strategy going forward, Harish will be key in that. Chris Grove is a partner at Eilers & Krejcik Gaming. So anybody who follows the US space closely around online gambling will have probably heard of Chris Grove or at least read a number of things he's done. So Eilers & Krejcik is one of the top research groups that focuses on that space. Chris Grove is an investor plus an expert in the gambling space in the US. So as we look to build out a US strategy, we wanted to add Chris. And then James Keane has been a long-time investor, shareholder of the company. He was one of the founding members of the Paradise Poker team. So anyone who's back from the early days of online poker, Paradise is one of the top 3 sites in the world. James oversaw that through an acquisition from Sportingbet, which then went on to sell to GBC. So he's now CEO of a social casino game company that's been around for probably close to 2 decades. So as again, we were building out our game side of the business, we were looking for some casino game expertise, and James has that. And combined, our network now and our ability to get into partners, at a top level with our 3 directors, there's probably not a gaming group we can't talk to today. So in addition to attracting, I think, some great investors, some great board members, we've started to do some partnerships with some top tier groups as well. The Eater was the one we announced today, so that's an aggregator. We'll have more of those coming. GameCo is part of our US strategy. So some people may have heard of GameCo. GameCo's been around the US for a while, and they build similar theme games to us, but for the cabinets. So these are the physical cabinets that are in casinos. GameCo's been building games of skill and some video game style games for those. So they're in a number of casinos already. A great network of partners from the casino space. But more importantly, they were looking to get into iGaming or online gaming and in the esports space. So they came to us about our Chameleon platform. So we signed a partnership with GameCo. GameCo will give us the license coverage and distribution in the US. So that deal was announced, and then we will be hopefully announcing soon our first US installations with GameCo. So that's putting our online esports book, the Chameleon platform, into the US through a license of GameCo's into multiple states. So that's how we're approaching the US. We don't intend to go in there now as a direct-to-consumer operator. A very expensive space, it's state by state, and you see companies like DraftKings and FanDuel paying hundreds of thousands of dollars or hundreds of millions in marketing costs. So we like the technology side of that better, and anybody who saw the DraftKings announcement when they did their SPAC deal, they acquired technology into the platform or into that deal. They acquired SB Tech, which means they're replacing their technology, which can be. So we fit in that space of people now looking to own the technology. That deal probably will save hundreds of millions of dollars over the lifetime for DraftKings. So we see us as like an SB Tech coming along. And then Pinnacle Sports we announced recently. So Pinnacle, anyone who isn't aware, is one of the biggest online sports books in the world. They're a leader in the esports betting space, so probably one of the first groups that ever was taking bets on esports, going back to 2010. They're known for being, I think, the best traders and risk managers in the world, and we wanted to have the best options for our partners on Chameleon. So we worked alongside Pinnacle for an esports betting product. So we can offer that up through Chameleon and give people the best odds and the most coverage in the esports betting market. So just to, I guess, summarize where we began, which is the opportunity right now, is it's a massive, massive space and growing fast, especially with the US changes. It's growing more than 8% a year. We are at a major inflection point, so we're just announcing deals. So it's been pretty steady deal flow since August, and these are all turning into revenue generating opportunities now. And many more catalysts to come. So we're about to get our 2 licenses in Malta, adding UK, the US expansion. So we've already announced the GameCo deal, looking to actually get our first installation done this year. More B2C sites will be launching off of our Chameleon platform, and next year will be a massive revenue growth year for us. So once we do that, we're also looking for some M&A opportunities. We've got a number in front of us now, so look for those announcements next year as well. So I'll leave it there, Jack. I've got our information up on the screen if anyone wants to contact us. We've actually had a few people that follow you contact us, which has been great. So happy to take questions if we have time and talk to anybody who wants to chat.
Okay, absolutely. Hey, Scott, can you go back to that previous slide, because that has some key points which I think are really the highlight. Is it possible to show all those, all 3 items, all the drop down, or it shows like one at a time, I guess?
Sorry,
right,
yeah, not the way I've got it.
leave it as is. Okay, yeah. So we're going to jump. We have some great questions. We got a couple minutes because we're going to be running a little bit late. So I want to go to the questions in just a second. I think one of the key things is the esports, sports betting. Very exciting space right now. We just did an interview with Will Hershey, who's got the bets and the nerd ETFs. That's up on our site. It's up on YouTube. You guys should definitely check it out if you want to understand, what's happening in that space. And one thing he mentioned is that, the esports is going to be, huge in the US. You have all these states that are going to introduce it, but at the end of the day, the esports, their margins are going to really come down. It's going to become really tight, and they're going to need these, the iGaming component, these games that you're doing now, stuff like this, that's really where they make their money. The esports is just to get the guy in the door. It's like the discount brokers, they have free trades, and then they make money on everything else.
Yeah, exactly, and that's what we talk about with no exit points, and we know that as you said, online sports books, I guess the holy grail of customer acquisition is if you can get them and move them to the casino. And so what we were seeing is esports has been a great new acquisition tool. That's why every sportsbook is looking for an esports solution now, because they realize what they currently have isn't getting that 18 to 30-year-old who they want. That's who they need now for the lifetime value. So esports is a way to get them in. And then now they're looking, how do we make that lifetime value go up? It's got to be through casino, but they don't like spinning fruit wheel games. So that's what we're at right now.
Yeah, I think one of the interesting things you mentioned, I think people really need to understand. And we have a comment from a member of the audience, which is that right now, as you put in these new games into these aggregators, there's like a multiplier effect once it goes into the aggregator. It's like putting a game or whatever, an app onto was iTunes or Google Play. All of a sudden, you're reaching millions of customers, and every time you add a new game, it multiplies and multiplies. So, and you're gonna go from 3 games to 10 games next year. You mentioned the numbers, which are impressive. So the revenues can really take off. All right, so let's
we're looking at each aggregator. I mean, as is everything, there's different sizes of aggregators, different. But I would say everyone, we're looking at between reaching 2 to 20 million users every time we plug in a new aggregator.
Okay, and how many aggregators do you expect to have next year? Assuming you have 10 games, how many aggregators will you have?
Yeah, we've got a couple already lined up, so I would expect us to be in between the 5 to 10 range would be our goal next year. We want to focus on the high quality ones, and really look, after we get the first couple of done, look to the US market. So it's more about, and for us on the aggregator side, it is a bit of more about quality. So we're going to focus on the real quality ones, put out quality games, really get them hooked because of this new demographic we target, and do that. So that would be my aim for next year.
Okay, so in theory, that's potentially what, 200 million customers, 10 games. You mentioned something like 250 to 500 grand a month, $1 million a month revenues potential per game.
Yeah.
Per aggregator.
Yeah, you get a good game with a good aggregator, if you can build the hooks in, which is leaderboards, ladders, progressives, you can see those numbers, quite easily, and per aggregator.
I'm just doing the math. So real quickly, the math comes out to like 50 million, 100 million revenue potential next year, run rate, once you get those aggregators.
Yeah, that's potential once we're into that many aggregators. So that part takes a bit of time, but yeah, that's the potential.
Okay. So let's jump into the live audience questions. Actually, I'll go to the first one, which is Adam. Adam is actually, he's made that comment here that Adam is saying, assuming only one aggregator at 250K per month per game with 10 games after 12 months, that would mean 30 million revenues per annum from just this source. That's just that one thing. So really interesting. Okay. Jack is asking, it's the other Jack T. What are differences between sports books and casinos for fans? Which do you see having more potential upside, sports books or casinos?
In terms of the games, casinos.
Okay. He's asking a follow-up. What differentiates ask.games from other existing or new games, and have they been tested by the target demo?
Yeah, so that's the testing is the nice part. One, we going away from the target demo to start as we go through certification on the games. So they've got to get through certification and then by jurisdiction sometimes. And we having the user base we have, which is we've accumulated over 200,000 users on the platform for esports. So that gives us access to the target demo, so we can test things there, which we do. So that's great. And the key differences for us is, I mean, aside from look and feel, so I think if you go to a traditional online casino right now, you'll probably find very little things that have the look and feel we do. You'll see things that look similar, more similar to like a Candy Crush, different spinning fruit wheels, Wheel of Fortune style games. So we are very much keying in on the gamer target. So they look and feel like you're in a video game. Then we have games that give you a sense of some control. So they're not pure randomness or pure chance, where a lot of the online casinos is just pure chance. So we find with that demographic is they want to be engaged more than some people. So we need to have things where they feel like cashing out in the bank heist, for example. That's something that they can control. So there's a combination of things, but one, we want the look and feel of video games and esports. Then we want some of the gamification mechanics of video games and esports. And then some are just the storylines we attach to them that key in on that as well. So.
Okay, we're running a little bit late, so we got time for a few more questions. We're going to do a live chat with you, Scott, next week, and we're going to have a lot of time to go into a lot of these questions. And we got some great questions coming in.
Okay.
Jeremy was asking, what obstacles would traditional video game manufacturers have to enter the casino game space and compete with Ascot?
So they would need to go through, I guess, the same process. They'd have to build out a remote gaming server, what they call an RGS. So remote gaming servers would be something that they would not have at this point in time. So they'd have to build out or acquire a full RGS, so remote gaming servers to host the games. They'd have to go through all the licensing requirements, so either state by state or country by country. They'd need the infrastructure, so the servers. These are all things we have. They need to get all that done. And then they would need to build out the payment side of it. Some may have payments, but build out full payments. The banking is quite difficult around gaming, so that takes a while. And then the age, identity, location verification, sometimes down to the state level at least. So those are all things around the gambling space that they'll need to do if they want to do that. We've been in the competitive gaming world for a number of years now. We know a lot of the publishers. We talk to them. Haven't found one that's really interested in going down that path. It's a very different business than what they do now. They make a lot of money doing what they're doing, and really a lot of them don't want to be seen as crossing over into the gambling space because some of them are building games for younger people, whereas we focused on games and themes that are 18 plus.
Okay. Okay, we got time. 2 questions. Okay, so David's asking, are you going to offer crypto payments?
We already do, yeah. So, and again, that comes down to the where you're licensed and the jurisdiction and what they allow. So, but currently we have a number of different crypto wallets in sites sort of spread out around the world. So, as we bring on a partner who wants to use the Chameleon platform, we can go through the list of payments they're looking for. So right now, people can deposit and withdraw with crypto. We're going back to the Isle of Man license. We were the first company the Isle of Man ever licensed for crypto betting back in 2017.
Okay, fantastic. Okay, we're getting a lot of questions all of a sudden at the last minute. So everybody, please join us, join Scott next week. We're going to have a live chat. It's going to be a little bit more interactive on YouTube. It's going to be actually a little more fun. So we will we'll see you guys next week. Scott, thank you for the update. Looks like you got some great things happening, and we'll catch up with you on next week's live stream.
Okay, sounds great. Thanks, Jack.